Now, anyone who saw the last two videos I did about Moses Itauma will know that this is music to my ears, because he has now come out and confirmed that he's going to go for it. He will attempt to break Mike Tyson's record and become the youngest man ever in history to win a version of the world heavyweight title. Let's talk about it. He's got some interesting things to say. In fact, he said he cancelled his recent 18th birthday party so he could concentrate on achieving this goal. Now he says here, me and my brother, and his brother is Karol Itauma, his older brother, who is a professional light heavyweight, currently unbeaten. He's had a handful of fights. He said, me and my brother have talked about me breaking that record, and just looking at the dates and the maths, it's very doable. He says, Karol told me, if anyone can do it, then you can, and I believe I can do it. The current world champions are now in their 30s, and the ones that are coming up supposedly to replace them, I reckon I can do all of them. 20th of May 2025 is the day to do it by, and it sounds miles away, but it will come around quickly. Physically, I'm still a boy compared to the lot ahead of me, so I am working on growing into being a man. I think I'll be all right. I never really celebrated a birthday since I was about 15. I was a very big kid. By 14, I was probably about 6'4" tall and 17 stone, which is 238 pounds. I have always felt like an adult since then. I haven't grown too much physically, but now I feel like I am maturing mentally into being a man. Now, before I go on to another quote from this article, it does remind me of Mike Tyson here. There are so many things that remind me of Mike Tyson. Not Itauma's style, his box is nothing like Tyson, but the fact that he was very big for his age. So by 14, he was 6'4", 238 pounds. And he hasn't really grown much since then. I think he's grown about an inch in height, and he's almost the same in weight. This is what Mike Tyson was like. When Mike Tyson was 15, he was literally the size of a man. He wasn't a particularly tall guy, but in terms of his body mass, his muscularity, he was huge. So again, with Itauma, very early physical maturity. And this, I'm sure, has contributed to his success in the amateurs. He never lost an amateur fight as far as I'm aware. This is what I've read. The guy never lost an amateur fight. This other article here, which is on Talk Sport, it quotes Itauma talking about some of the people that he sparred with, which also echoes Mike Tyson. He said, I realized I was good at boxing probably when I started sparring Lawrence Okolie when I was 14 or 15 years old and was holding my own. I was then sparring Joe Joyce, Daniel Dubois, and Anthony Joshua and was still holding my own, if not getting the better of it. When I was sparring Joyce and Okolie, I was coming in wearing my school uniform, having come straight from school, and was yawning. Now, was he yawning out of tiredness from school or yawning out of nonchalance? Maybe a bit of both. People, this guy is clearly a prodigy. Clearly. If you're in your school uniform and you're going into spar, you're 14, 15 years old, and you're going into spar, top level world champions at cruiserweight and heavyweight and top contenders, and holding his own. That's not normal, folks. Mike Tyson didn't even do that. And I know there's going to be some Mike Tyson fanatics in the comments who are very concerned about Itauma breaking his record. They don't want anyone to ever break Mike Tyson's record. But of course, I'm not like that. I'm not a fanboy. I want to see all records broken. I want to see George Foreman's record broken. I want to see Mike Tyson's record broken. I want to see bigger and better. I don't want to just be stuck in achievements of the past and never progress from there. I know the Mike Tyson fans are going to be downplaying Moses Itauma's chances. And look, there's no knowing whether he's going to actually be able to achieve this goal of being the youngest heavyweight champion in history. But he has a better chance than anyone I've seen since Mike Tyson because of his age. He only just turned 18. And you look at what he was doing in the amateurs, in recent amateur tournaments, he was running through these tournaments, stopping most people. And I've been through Mike Tyson's amateur record, comparing it to Moses Itauma's amateur record, because there were some people saying Itauma's not knocking people out, whereas Mike Tyson was knocking people out, cleaning the amateurs. Nonsense. Already covered that in a previous video. You look at Mike Tyson's amateur record on BoxRec, and the vast majority are stoppages, not clean KOs. Facts. Go look it up. BoxRec, I think, credits Mike Tyson was having 2 or 3 clean KOs, and all of the rest of them are either points victories or referee stop contest. Same goes for Moses Itauma. So very similar story there. Either way, Itauma got most people out of there. And if you're talking about who Mike Tyson was sparring when he was 17 years of age, let's say Ituma's 14, 15, 16, 17, he's in there sparring AJ and he's, according to him, not only holding his own, but in some instances getting the better of it. Obviously, people are going to say what they say. It doesn't mean it's necessarily true. I'm not taking his word at face value as if it's gospel, but the fact he's being drafted in his school uniform to spar Lawrence Okolie, a world champion, is crazy. They wouldn't be doing that if he's just an ordinary kid. They wouldn't be bringing him in to spar Anthony Joshua and Joe Joyce if he's just an ordinary kid. There was somebody, I think it was, it was Umar, I mentioned this in a previous video, who said that there was this sparring session between Joe Joyce and Moses Itauma, and Joyce apparently said that it was the toughest spar he's ever had, or one of the toughest spars he's ever had, with a kid who's like 16, 17. That's crazy. Anyway, Mike Tyson. There is this video here, which I saw many, many years ago. It's on YouTube. Any of you can watch it. Mike Tyson sparring Carl the Truth Williams. At the time, Mike Tyson was 17. Carl the Truth Williams was 11-0 as a pro. Mike Tyson, of course, still an amateur at 17 years of age. It's a very short clip. It's only about 30 seconds long. And you've got Jim Lampley narrating the footage you're seeing. And the HBO crew said they saw lots of the sparring footage, but we only get to see a short clip. And Jim Lampley says that in all the sparring footage they saw, Carl the Truth Williams was getting the better of it against a 17-year-old Mike Tyson. Again, Carl the Truth Williams, 11-0, so he's not a world champion. This is not like Mike Tyson going in there and sparring Larry Holmes. This is Mike Tyson sparring an 11-0 prospect as a pro when Mike Tyson's a 17-year-old amateur. And he's pretty much getting handled by Carl the Truth Williams. So yes, Mike Tyson absolutely was a prodigy. He was very physically mature for his age, unusually physically mature, and he was able to progress at a very fast rate for various reasons, which I covered off in a video I did about Mike Tyson and him breaking the world record, which was previously held by Floyd Patterson, also mentored and trained by Cus D'Amato. So yeah, Mike Tyson was a prodigy, but he wasn't in there holding his own against world champions at 15, 16, 17. Not to my knowledge. Now, some people might mention Lennox Lewis. No. Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson are around the same age. Lewis is roughly a year older. When they sparred in the Catskills, they were both kids. So this is not like Tyson sparring a world champion. No, that never happened. They were both kids. Lennox Lewis was skinny at the time. You go look up the picture of when they're all together. You got Cus, you got Arnie, who was Lewis's trainer. And you see Lennox Lewis standing with Mike Tyson and Arnie and Cus, and Lewis is like a beanpole. Like most 15, 16-year-old kids who are that tall, 6'3", whatever Lewis was at the time, skinny. There's no muscle on him. He was not the Lennox Lewis then that he would go on to become. Mike Tyson, as I said, physically mature at a very young age, much more brawny and big in terms of muscularity than Lennox Lewis. Much shorter, yes, but more physically mature in terms of muscularity. That was the dynamic when Lewis sparred Tyson. They were both just kids. Moses Itauma is sparring grown men when he's 14, 15, world champions at cruiserweight, and then later on, Anthony Joshua at heavyweight, Daniel Dubois, and according to him, holding his own or getting the better of it. That's crazy. Understand the magnitude of that. Now, Itauma, clearly a prodigy, clearly. Doesn't mean that he's necessarily going to go on to be something special as a pro, because there are so many things that we don't know about him. We don't know what his chin is like. We don't know what his stamina is like. We don't know what his heart is like. We don't know whether he can pace himself well over the 12 rounds. You know, there are lots of things. We don't know how he's going to cope psychologically, although the fact that he's 14, 15 and sparring world champions strongly suggests that he's mentally robust, because for the average 14 or 15-year-old amateur to be going in there with a world champion, you are going to be terrified. You might not want to admit it, but that's how you're going to be feeling. And you're going to perform in such a way that you don't want this world champion to put it on you. So you're going to stay in your box and just move around with him. That's what the average 14 or 15-year-old, even if they're big, are going to do against the world champion. Apparently not Moses Itauma. Apparently with him, his mentality's different and he goes in there to try to put it on you even when he's just literally a kid. So, yes, it's exciting times for anyone who likes to see records broken. It's like with athletics. Are you somebody who, I don't know, was a fan of Carl Lewis back in the days and you didn't want to see the world record broken? Or are you someone like me who wants to see records broken? And when someone comes along that has the potential to break a long-standing record, you get excited about it. So yes, I'm excited to see if this young man can do it. We don't know. There are questions to be answered. And of course, there's the issue of politics in boxing. Will he be able to get to a world title is not so much about does he have the ability, but of course that's a big factor. It's about will the political landscape in the heavyweight division be conducive to him breaking Mike Tyson's record. Now, Frank Warren, of course, has been a very busy bee indeed. He has signed up loads of heavyweights. He's got Tyson Fury, of course. He's got Daniel Dubois, who holds a version of the world heavyweight title, albeit the regular WBA. He's got, other fighters coming up. And his promotional partner, Bob Arum, in America with Top Rank, he's got Jared Anderson. Okay, he's got Efe Ajagba. Also, Frank Warren has a close relationship with the WBO that goes back many years. I forgot to mention Frank Warren's also got Joe Joyce. So I think it's very doable for Moses Itauma to at least get the opportunity to break Mike Tyson's record, meaning to get a world title shot before he's 20 years and 4 months, whatever it is, that Mike Tyson was when he beat Berbick. So exciting times. Let's see if he could do it. Now, I know there are going to be some people who say, well, hang on, Hatman. You criticize the way that Anthony Joshua's career was moved because you say that he was basically rushed and wasn't allowed to develop. And yet here you are advocating for Itauma to be rushed and him not being allowed to develop. So what's with the contradiction? Well, there is a difference. First of all, Anthony Joshua started boxing very late. I think he was in his late teens, early 20s, the first time he ever laced up a pair of gloves and actually had an amateur fight. Moses Itauma started boxing very young. He was, at least 11, maybe younger than that, when he started boxing, when he had his first fight. In fact, according to some of the articles I've been reading, the only time Moses Itauma had a close fight in the amateurs was when he was 11 years old, okay? And you look at Moses Itauma in all the amateur fights of his on YouTube, he's advanced at the age of 18 as he is now. This is not a guy who looks raw and novice-y the way AJ did when he was 18. No, Itauma looks advanced. So it's not so much about the age, it's about where they're at in terms of their technical progression, their emotional and psychological maturity as it relates to fighting. And when you've got a guy like Itauma going in there and holding his own against world champions at cruiserweight and heavyweight, according to him, then this is someone who can be moved more quickly. So that's the first thing. He's much further along. If it wasn't for the possibility of breaking Mike Tyson's record, to be honest with you, and I'm basically being a selfish boxing fan here, but if it wasn't for this possibility of breaking Mike Tyson's record, let's say Moses Itauma was 20 years old at this stage, turning pro. I would say don't rush him. Yeah, you can move him faster than, let's say, Deontay Wilder was moved, because Deontay Wilder didn't have this amateur experience from when he was very young, like Itauma when he was 11. Deontay Wilder, therefore, had to do a lot of learning in the pros because of the limited amateur experience, right? And him and AJ had a similar amount of amateur experience, actually, but Deontay Wilder was moved a lot more slowly. So with Itauma, you don't need to move him as slowly as that at all. So never mind his age, just look at where he's at technically and so on. So if Itauma was 20 right now, I would say, yeah, there's no rush. You don't need to try and get him into a position to fight for a world title in 2 years, which is what I'm advocating right now. Again, a lot of it is down to the selfish boxing fan in me and wanting to see a record broken. But as I say, this is not your ordinary amateur fighter turning over to the professional game. This is a prodigy. This is someone special. This is someone with an unusually high talent level who's been able to progress at an unusually fast rate. It's not a normal guy. So just Understand that. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I know that Tyson fanatics will be upset. They'll be downplaying Itauma's ability, downplaying his chances of breaking the record, and all this kind of thing. Look, I'm an admirer of Mike Tyson's ability as a fighter. Enjoy watching him fight. But I also enjoy seeing new talent emerge that can challenge the records of the old guard. I'm not someone that just gets fixated on one person and then doesn't want to see anyone surpass them. No, let's see it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below.